Early March. The wind still bites, so the coat stays on. The sky is flat gray all day. You walk to the shop, you eat outside, you drive home with the window down. By dinner, your face is hot and pink. Nothing about that day felt like the sun. Your skin never once said, stop. So what were you meant to notice? Go back to that day. The air was cool on your arms. The sky was flat and gray, no glare, no sting. Then your face was pink by dinner. Every sense you own had said you were fine. But name what your skin was really telling you. Warmth. That is the heat part of what the sun sends. It sends ultraviolet too, or UV for short. The World Health Organization calls UV its own part of sunlight. It comes in with the warmth and lands on no sense you have. Therefore, your gauge is reading the wrong thing. Cancer prevention groups say it plainly. UV cannot be seen or felt. It does not track the air temperature, so a cold, clear day can carry as much UV as a hot one. Think of a car going past. You judge its speed by how loud it is. The loud one must be flying, the quiet one must be crawling, but the quiet one can be doing 70. Warmth is engine noise, real and not the number you wanted. So the question stops being whether it was sunny, it becomes what got through to you. Our write-up on that is on screen now. Heat and UV leave the sun together. Only one of them gives you a sunburn, but when UV reaches you, what kind is it? Go up, way past the clouds. Up there sits a thin band of gas called ozone. It floats about 15 to 40 kilometers over your head, and it eats sunlight. It takes in every bit of UVC, the harshest kind of all. Most UVB goes the same way. So the worst of the sun never gets near you. But what gets through is lopsided. Badly lopsided. Down at ground level, about 95% of it is UVA. That is the deeper kind, the one that ages skin. Only about 5% is UVB. The two of them do different jobs. UVB is the shortwave. It stops in the top layer of your skin. That is the one that burns. UVA is the long wave. It does not stop up there. It carries on down to the deep layer. Picture a hot pan. UVB is the fat that spits out and hits your hand. You know the second it lands. UVA is damp getting into a wall. Nothing shows for years. Then one day the plaster is ruined. One kind tells you now. The other one tells you later. Though the ray that owns nearly all your daylight is the one with no sting on it. Nothing tells you it is there. That is why the cold March walk felt like nothing at all. We wrote the whole thing up. Here it is. So what is all that light costing you? In fair skin, research puts about 80% of visible face aging down to the sun, not to birthdays, to the sun. But the how is the part that sticks. UV sets off free radicals. Those are unstable molecules. They chew through collagen and elastin, the springs that hold skin up. Your skin patches the damage over and over. That repair work is what leaves the lines. Therefore, none of it resets overnight. The 5-minute walk to the car still counts. So does the sunny commute. The running total only ever moves one way, up. Think of a bank account you can pay into but never draw from. Every minute in the sun is a small deposit. You do not feel it go in. The statement still turns up 30 years later. Therefore, what shows up after 40 is a record, not bad luck. Our post on how the sun ages skin is on screen now. Age spots. Rough, scaly patches that doctors call precancers. They gather on the face, the ears, and the backs of the hands. The skin nobody ever covered. You look outside. Flat white sky, no shadow on the wall, nothing to squint at, so the sunscreen stays in the drawer. That gray is the cue almost everyone trusts, and as much as 80% of UV comes straight through it. But cloud does take something real away. It takes the glare and the warmth. Those are the two feelings that would have moved you under a tree. So the warning goes, and the exposure stays. That is a bad trade, and you never feel it happen. Think of a net curtain, not a shutter. A shutter is a lid. It closes and the light stops. A net curtain just hangs there looking like it is helping. You can watch it do its job. But most of what hits it goes straight through. So a gray day runs backwards. The exposure mostly stays, the warning leaves. And thin cloud can even scatter UV and nudge it up at the edges. We wrote the whole thing up. The headline is the cold open. It says the point in one line before you read a word. Cloud is the first thing that fools you. It is not the last. So that is the sky. Now here is the second thing people trust, glass. And glass is not a fraud. Ordinary window glass does stop most of the burning ray. That is why nobody goes red sitting at a desk all day. The pane is doing real work. But glass is picky about which ray it stops. A laminated windscreen holds back roughly 94 to 99% of the deeper ray. One study measured a plain side window stopping only about 71%. Same car, two panes, very different deals. Think of a doorman at a club with two doors. He only ever watches one of them, so the loud guest gets turned away at the front every single night, and the quiet one strolls in the side door. Nobody stops him. Glass is that doorman. Therefore, the commute is a slow dose, and it only lands on one side. Skin doctors point at the window side of a long-haul driver's face. Years in the same seat written on one cheek, and your office window runs the same deal all afternoon. Here's the post that walks through it. That is 2 shields down. There is 1 more, and you are born with it. Here is where the rule really bends. Melanin is a filter you are born with, and it is superb at the job. It soaks up UV and turns well over 99% of that energy into harmless heat. But the size of the discount is the surprise. The darkest skin tone works out at about SPF 13. That sits under 15, which dermatologists treat as the floor. Think of it as a good coat, not a roof. It takes the edge off every single day, but it was never built for standing out in a downpour. So the stakes are not in the biology, they are in the outcomes. Melanoma is a serious skin cancer. 5-year survival is about 95% for white patients. For black patients, it is about 85%. Late diagnosis drives most of that gap. So the honest read is 1 rule for everyone. Daily sunscreen, whatever your tone, and get new or changing spots looked at early. The post walks through the numbers. So borrow a sense you were never issued. The UV index runs from 1 at the bottom to 11 and above at the top. It rates how strong the UV is where you stand, and it is sitting in your weather app right now. But the whole scale folds down to 1 line you can act on. At 3 or higher, protect. Seek shade, cover up, put on sunscreen. Below 3, the risk to most people is low, so 1 number does the whole job. Therefore, it costs nothing, and it is local. The EPA will look up your postcode and hand you today's reading. There is a 4-day map for the days ahead, and a free app called Sunwise in English and Spanish. Treat it exactly like the rain forecast. Nobody stands at the window guessing millimeters. You read the number, then you pick up the umbrella. This is the same deal. Read it, then dress for it. And there is a no-phone version for when you are already outside. Look down at your shadow. If it is shorter than you are, the sun is high and UV is strong. A long shadow means the sun is low and UV is weaker. Therefore, pair the number with the clock. The CDC puts the strongest stretch between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. That is for the continental US. Our own guide takes the whole scale apart, 1 reading at a time. Back to that cold walk in March. Here's what was going on. The UV index does not follow the air. It follows how high the sun sits, so it climbs all spring. The air is slower to catch up. Though spring is the TRAPPIST cluster keeps circling. The reading crosses the line while it is still coat weather. UV is not tied to how warm the air feels, so the habit restarts long after the exposure did. Think of the air as a pan of water on a stove. You turn the heat up. The water does not get hot at once. It keeps warming long after the dial moved. Spring air is that pan, and the sun does not wait. This is the post the whole episode hangs on. Read it and the March walk makes sense. Your senses were never the right tool here. You feel heat. You see light. UV is neither, so stop leaving this call to your skin. You were never given a sense for this, but you do have a stand-in, and it is free. It sits on the screen you check for rain. The EPA gives it away, 2 seconds, once a day. Next comes the number and the rule. So what were you meant to notice? Not the wind, not the sky, 1 number, and the weather app you already have. It is called the UV index. 3 or higher, and you cover up. Sunscreen where skin shows, a hat, a bit of shade. Your skin has no sensor for this, and it never did. The forecast does. Check it before you leave tomorrow.